effortlessly use Mr., Miss, or Doctor before a name, but stumble upon prefixes N, iso, sec, neo, and tert in organic chemistry. Why the confusion? Let's find out. If you had a chance to go through older literature text, you would have noticed how quite common it was to come across English words like thou, thee, or ye. Once popular, these words are now reflective of the linguistic evolution of the English language. Organic chemistry has its own historical baggage and its very own linguistic evolution. Naming organic compounds or carbon chains was easy when the number was smaller. Complexity arose when chain not only became longer but more branched. Hardship to name one was even stronger when several other heteroatoms were found to tag along on the carbon chain. Common names were the earliest attempts to identify compounds, which were later followed by a systematic rule-based IUPAC nomenclature system. Prefixes like N, iso, neo, sec and tert are part of those retained common names that are sometimes used to identify and distinguish branched versus unbranched structure. Our first comparison will be between N versus neo and iso. Normal, abbreviated as N, is used to identify straight chain alkenes, whereas iso and neo are appended to highly branched structures. The iso from isomer is used when the second carbon of the branched chain alkene carries one methyl group. So the terminal substituent of CH3 twice CH refers to the iso substituent. In other words, an isopropyl group is referred to as iso. The prefix neo, which is Greek for new, is used when the second carbon of the branched chain alkene carries two methyl groups. So the terminal group CH3 thrice C, which is a tertiary butyl group, refers to the neo substituent. To put it another way, when the second carbon of the alkene chain branches by one, it is iso, and twice with methyl, it is neo. A great way to remember is to imagine a highway. The N prefixes indicate a straight road. A N-pentane is like a 5-carbon line. Iso with one methyl branch would look like a single detour, and neo with two methyl branches would create a fork in the road. Now the prefixes sec and tert describe where a functional group lands. If the functional group is attached to a carbon that has two carbon neighbors, then it's a sec, or secondary carbon position. The position is tert or tertiary if the functional group is attached to a carbon with three neighbors. In other words, these prefixes indicate the state of a carbon atom in an alkyl molecule where the functional group resides. The sec prefix is commonly used for 4-carbon alkyl chains, for example, sec-butyl. At 5 and above carbon alkyl chains, there is more than one possibility for a secondary carbon to which a functional group can be attached. Hence, the usage of the prefix sec is very limited. A quick and final recap: the N, iso, and neo are used to distinguish straight versus branched chains, while sec and tert pinpoint functional group spots. Now, naming molecules should be a breeze. If you have followed the concept well, you can test it using our quiz, which is linked below. Which prefix trips you the most, sec or neo? Comment below. You can read more on these differences, including their usage in IUPAC, by visiting curlyarrows.com. For tutorials on organic chemistry fundamentals, subscribe to our premium content at curlyarrows.com/premium subscriber. Hit like and subscribe for more in the comparison series. Happy learning!